I feel like with this shirt, I just have this desire to just randomly walk into a room full of women and just be like, BAM! I'm sorry, ladies, but I'm already like a brother to someone else. And then just hear the insults and death threats coming at me, and then just be like, it's ironic because I'm gay. And I technically am a brother? Either way. Hey everyone, it's Kyle. So a friend asked me last week kind of for my music background, my music story, and I realized I've never introduced myself to my own channel. You all see performances or pieces I've written or recorded, but you've never seen really me just being me. So I thought I'd make this video kind of giving you my music background and journey and where I'm at right now. Plus, I'm recording some voiceovers in the next 2 weeks and I need to check different microphones. So that's brilliant that I get to do it this way. So first off, who am I? Hi, I'm Kyle Hughes. I am a classically trained modern and world percussionist. I am a pianist, currently learning harp and singing. Don't quote me on that last one. Other things about me that are important. I live in Denver. Colorado. I currently work here as the audio coordinator for a music school at university. I am a Christian. I am gay. I am a klutz. All that aside though, because if you asked anyone what is the most important label to Kyle Hughes, you could make a good case for music. But I think the most important label and the biggest compliment I have ever received was when my friend called me the physical embodiment of sarcasm. Just life goals, just can die happy now. Believe it or not, he said that to me because of the way I opened up a door. So take from that what you will. And my music journey, like many people, started when they were really young. Kind of my first foray into music was we had a family friend and their mother was teaching their daughter how to play guitar. And so my mom thought, hey, we could join in. So I took a few guitar lessons. It never amounted to anything because I still can't play guitar to this day. I still can't play guitar to this day. Or today, or the next day, probably. But you never know. It's possible. Could be a guitar prodigy. Not. So that was fun. Didn't really go very far other than just a few kind of lessons in their living room. But my first real big step on the path towards percussion and music as a career and all that jazz was in elementary school. My family moved to Kennewick, Washington, and at Sunset View Elementary School, the music teacher, Walt Hampton, used his marimba ensemble that he coached, the Regari Marimba Ensemble, as the medium to teach students music. And my family and I were at one of their concerts, and I was enamored. You know, it was like 20-something little elementary school kids jamming out, having a good time, looking good, sounding good, and it just seemed like a hoot and a half, and I had to have in. So my parents and I went up and talked to Walt Hampton afterwards, and lo and behold, next year I was in the ensemble. How the ensemble works is it's 12 fourth graders, 12 fifth graders, all playing, and it's a good time. And this was my first time really kind of learning music. We learned orally and memorized all our pieces by rote, so there was no sheet music. This was my first time performing live. This was my first time playing in an ensemble. This was my first time recording music. The ensemble records 1 CD every year. And then it was also my first time kind of going on tour. The year that I was in it, we went to Olympia and Seattle, Washington, and we got to enjoy the joys and fun of touring, aka the bus broke down. All that aside, my family had to move the year following that to Pennsylvania, and I was heartbroken. I was distraught. I couldn't. How could I do music after leaving this amazing group and having so much fun? Music, it could never be better than that. So I took a year or two off music, and my parents said, "No, you're miserable. You really enjoyed music. You have to pick a new instrument to play." So I ended up doing violin. Let me tell you, you will never hear someone sound so bad as me playing violin. I sucked really badly. Mommy, Daddy, I apologize for all the pain that you had to endure in your ears those 2-3 years. So yeah, did violin. It never really stuck. It was always it was very frustrating. Um, I hated it. I didn't like what I was playing. I didn't like what I sounded like. Just, it wasn't a good thing. Um, and then in eighth grade in middle school, um, I took a general music elective class. And, they have the different units, guitar, piano, percussion, whatever. But in the percussion unit, she was using two mallet books written by Walt Hampton. And I was like, hey, I've studied under him and I've played under him. So when the music teacher found out that I basically knew all this material already, she threw me into an audition with the middle school's concert band director because she said that they knew. That's how you know the gays are calling when it's that special ringtone. Um, she threw me into an audition with the middle school band director because they needed a mallet percussionist. Now, I knew how to read sheet music because I'd played violin. I had never learned mallet percussion while reading sheet music, and I have no idea why my hands are. So I could not translate anything from the pages that he put in front of me onto the keyboard. I could play him everything I had memorized from my time in the marimba ensemble. So because of that, he allowed me into the concert band. The next step was high school. And the trick with high school was that to be in the concert band, you had to play in the marching band. And that was not something that I really wanted to do. There was nothing to me that sounded like a good time about getting in a big old uniform, marching, and then giving up my Friday nights for half the year almost. But my parents were like, no, do it for a year, see what you feel about it afterwards. If you like it, great. If you don't, then you can quit then. So we did it for a year and it was fine, and we decided to keep going with it because we also got to play in the concert band, which was fun. Now, at that time is when I really started kind of getting into my private studies. My first kind of percussion lessons were with a man named Brian Corner, who was also the guidance counselor for the middle school. But he started teaching me kind of rudimental snare drum work, and he's the one that really put me in the foundation of building up my snare drum chops. He also was the one that started teaching me drum set. I also started taking lessons with RJ Hyde, who is the percussion professor at Seton Hill University. He is a brilliant performer and professor, and incredibly snarky and sarcastic, which is probably why I am the way I am. So I started taking private lessons with him, focusing on mallet and orchestral percussion. And come junior year of high school, both RJ and my band director said that you should go into music in university. Now, at the time, I had no idea what I wanted to do in university, and I think the pivotal moment, or the catalyst, or the aha moment, or whatever you want to call it, when I decided that I wanted to do music as a career, was I was listening to music on YouTube one night while doing homework, and I saw a recommended video in the queue on the side, and I clicked on it, and it was a piece from a video game. Now, being a nerd, I've played a lot of video games, and there's music in it, and that it works really well, and it helps create this whole cohesive universe and emotions, but I'd never listened to video game music as its own entity. And the piece was Lightning's theme from Final Fantasy XIII, and I loved it. I absolutely fell in love. I cried when the piece was over. I thought it was the most beautiful piece of music I had ever heard in my entire life. And after repeating it, once, 5 times, 100 times, I decided that I wanted in. I wanted in on this game. I wanted to be able to create music like this. So we decided to go and do music in university. Now, before you do music in university, you have to audition and apply to do music in university, which led me to Anna Provo. She was a student of RJ's at the time, and she had worked with me before, but she has incredible mallet chops. So she taught me, she took a summer, and she was my teacher who taught me mallet techniques, specifically Stevens grip. And then we did the whole audition application process and blah, 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 blah. And it was at that time that RJ told me, if you're going to do music in university, great. But you should not go for a performance degree unless you want to be an orchestral percussionist or a soloist percussionist. because a performance degree just tells people that you know how to play really well, which is something that you can prove without the piece of paper. So you might as well get a different degree that gives you more skills or a varied skill set. Controversial a bit, I know, but I believe it. So I looked at all the different degree paths in music, music performance, music education, music therapy, music technology. Ooh. I like tech. I like computers and games and all that stuff. I'm a nerd. I'm a musician. I like music. I'm a nerd. Let's put them together. And we did. So I decided that I would go to university to be a percussionist and to work in music tech. Now, I had never done any music tech, audio work, music production of any sorts before. So to kind of prepare myself for that, I started volunteering at my church's AV team. And that's where I got a lot of my base instruction in live sound mixing, live sound work, etc. I also took a summer camp course thing at Duquesne University, which gave me a lot of the theoretical stuff in the electronics and the theory of sound before going to university. So I did the whole application audition process. It's a whole lot of fun. Enjoy it. And I ended up going to the University of Denver, which is a university in southern Denver, Colorado, at the Lamont School of Music. And I studied audio with Michael Schultz, and I studied percussion with primarily with John Kinsey, who is an amazing professor. Also, sarcastic and snarky. I have had a lot of luck in that most of my music instructors have been to some degree sarcastic, which is a good thing. I also studied with Mike Marlier on drum set, and then Tom Miller for steel pan and hand drums and world percussion. And I think the two big things that stick out to me about my percussion journey in university was getting to finally start to experience more world percussion. Because going into university, all I really knew was this very narrow view of orchestral and classical percussion. But I got to kind of broaden that because I got to play in the steel drum ensemble, I got to play in the Ghanaian drumming ensemble, and start to see, and even more importantly, play percussion instruments from around the world. Lord knows there are thousands of percussion instruments, and they're all fabulous. The other, which still makes me smile, is playing modern music in university. So after the first year of university, I went back to Pittsburgh for summer break, and I took a few lessons with RJ to keep my chops up. And he was asking me, what'd you play? What'd you do this year? And I was telling him specifically about this one modern piece I played. A modern ensemble at the university needed a percussionist for a piece that a student composer had written. And I hated it. Like, hated it. I thought it was overly complex, physically challenging, and was just not musically sound, whether it was tonally or conceptually at all. And I thought it was rubbish, and I never wanted to do modern music again. And RJ told me that the first time he had played/heard modern music, he didn't like it. But the more that he did, the more he enjoyed it. And now he loves it. So he told me that I shouldn't stop playing modern music. And lo and behold, I'm still playing modern music to this day. Now, that's because I have found aspects of it that I enjoy, especially some of the weird and wacky-ish that you play as a percussionist in modern music. Like, I am not kidding. Last year, I played a brick of styrofoam with an electric toothbrush. That's the kind of weird-ish that I'm talking about. So what am I doing now? I graduated last winter from the University of Denver. I currently still work here as the audio coordinator, managing sound for both live concerts and then also for some sessions, and helping and managing the students. I'm still playing a little bit. I play for the Nebula Ensemble, which is a modern music group here in Denver, and then also for the Lamont School's steel drum ensemble music. Mostly because I love steel band and I still want them to play my pieces. So yeah. However, I've kind of started branching out a little bit from percussion. For my graduation, I got a guzheng, which is a Chinese harp, and I'm sorry I probably butchered the pronunciation, guzheng. But it's a beautiful Chinese harp, and I'm loving getting to learn how to play it and write music for it. Speaking of harp, I also have started taking this fall lessons with Anne-Marie Liss, who is the harp professor here at the University of Denver, and she is amazing. I absolutely love working and studying with her. She's probably one of my favorite professors I've gotten to study under. She plays absolutely beautifully, and she's got a killer sense of humor, and I think her and I's personalities blends well to studying music. So hopefully, maybe you'll get to hear me play some harp in the near future. Don't expect too much too soon though, because it's hard. If anyone ever tells you that playing harp is not hard, they are selling you something, and they are selling it to you really, really hard. Because harp is hard. And yeah, I'm looking at grad school and things to, or potentially other jobs to look at. So who knows? Maybe I'll be moving to somewhere near you in the future, and we can collaborate and do fun music projects together. I'm looking at hopefully releasing an album or two in the next year of music that we recorded last spring, which has been a process in and of itself, but it's so much fun. So yeah, that's where I am, and those are the kind of the projects that I'm working on now. Thank you all so much for your support and love. I love seeing your comments on and likes on videos, some that I wouldn't have even expected comments on. But you know, give this video a like, subscribe to my channel, see what kind of performances I've done in the past, and you know what, leave a comment or questions below. Let me know what kind of videos you'd like to see more, whether or not that's more music, which you will get regardless of whether you want it or not, or more talking videos, because Lord knows I can talk a lot, you know. We can talk audio, we can talk percussion, we can talk composing, we can talk about whatever you all want to talk about. But yeah, I will catch you on the flip side. In other words, stay fabulous, y'all. It's like I walk like an Egyptian.